and celebrate together. The victories won for our liberation. Let us dedicate ourselves to rise together to defend our liberty and unity.
Right now, to witness a magical event that takes place at Bowling Green during the spring and summer at 3 o'clock. The sun goes behind the building and it gets much more pleasant here, as you've noticed yourself. We've raised the African Union flag before and we're happy we're raising it again. One of the most powerful phrases beginning about 100,000 years ago. Out of Africa, as you all know as well as anyone, we all came out of Africa, beginning about 100,000 years ago. We would not be here if Homo sapiens had not emerged out of Africa and spread throughout the entire planet, Europe, Asia, over the land bridge that existed thousands of years ago that connected Siberia and what's now Alaska. The African community moving down through North America, through South America, to basically are the reason that we have become the dominant species on the planet. But it's all started out of Africa. And here at Bowling Green, we have a rich history that came out of that initial beginning of the human race out of Africa. Bowling Green, before it was Bowling Green, for a few thousand years was populated increasingly by Native Americans who originated out of Africa. And this area at the tip of this island was the ceremonial entry for the Native Americans. This was a ritual center for them because it was the entrance to the harbor, which of course was beaming with life and fish and was all important to their way of life. Then on April 17th, 1524, I'm proud to say an Italian sailed into New York Harbor, April 17th, 1524, Giovanni Verrazzano, the first non-Native American ever to come to this shore. And when he would have entered the harbor, he would have seen this was the southern end. He would have been the first non-Native American to see this island and what become New York City. And next year, we're going to celebrate the 500th anniversary of the European discovery of New York City, which resulted the beginning of this great city. The Dutch came here and formally colonized this area in 1600s. They came here, it was basically a company town at first. It was the Dutch West India Company town, but people started coming from all over because it was a trading center. And all the colonies that were starting to develop in the Americas, it was here that became known as a place to come. If you wanted to come and you wanted to develop a free life and you wanted to basically trade. Of course, yes, there was also the issue of enslaved Africans here at that time also. But it was in February 2nd, 1653, that the colonists demanded that this area stop becoming a company town and become a real city. And as a result of their protest on February 2nd, 1653, right here and right behind us, which was then Fort Amsterdam, this city, as New Amsterdam, became the first self-governing place anywhere on the American continent. It was, in effect, the first step towards independence, which would take place in 1776. Moving forward, this park, Bowling Green Park, is the oldest official public park anywhere in America. In March of 1733, now think about that, there were millions of acres. Who needed a public park in 1733? The reason the colonists wanted the local government to create a park is because their sport, the only sport that existed, was lawn bowling, and they wanted a manicured space so they could play professional level lawn bowling. And so on March 12, 1733, the government of the city of New York at that point then, basically declared this area where we are the Bowling Green a public park. And it's been a public park ever since that day, and the oldest and longest serving public park anywhere in America. If I fast forward to 1776, an American battle for independence, George Washington was here at the beginning of July with the Continental Army. This was before independence was declared. He was waiting and waiting. He was waiting for a signal from Philadelphia that independence was to be declared, which it was on July 4th. But word did not reach New York City until July 9th, when a copy was brought on horseback to General Washington, who had the Declaration read up and down this very Broadway. Now, the colonists, that very evening, July 9th, 1776, to celebrate and to show their defiance and their newfound freedom, marched down Broadway to Bowling Green. What had happened in 1770 is the British had created a huge statue of their King of England, King George, on horseback in the middle of what's now the fountain, which is on today. And the colonists began vandalizing it. And so that the British put up this fence, which is also a National Historic Landmark, in 1771, and locked the gate so that the colonists could not get to the statue. And so it was one of the great symbolic acts of American history. On the evening of July 9th, 1776, the colonists broke through the fence, went into the middle of the park, and destroyed the statue, broke it up into small pieces, and then left to celebrate at Fraunces Tavern. George Washington, who did not like these kind of public displays, but he rode down Broadway himself at about midnight on his horse, tethered his horse to the fence alone, and walked around in the middle of Bowling Green. This is straight out of a movie. The pieces of the statue of the King of England around his feet as he walked around in the moonlight. At the same point, Battery Park did not exist back then. At the same point, the largest armada that had ever been assembled, 133 British warships, were waiting to come on shore, end this revolution, and hang him for treason. So he is walking around in the middle of Bowling Green in the middle-light. The statue's there. At the same time, he's seeing thousands of deck lanterns out in the harbor of the invading British forces who wanted to kill him. It didn't happen. The Americans left at that point to prepare to continue the war. George Washington did not return, and this is why it's so important to raise flags here. George Washington did not return to New York City until November 25th, 1783, and he came here very specifically with a very special purpose. He came here to declare the end, the successful conclusion of the American Revolution and the beginning of these United States of America. And he did that by coming here and standing where we stand today to watch the last British troops anywhere still in America, still stationed in that fort, leave that day. But most importantly, he came to watch the last British flag still flying anywhere in America taken down, and watch the 13th star American flag raised here as we continue in his honor to every day, all the time, fly the 13th star American flag. There is no other place anywhere in the United States that is more important, more symbolic, more historic than right here to raise the flags of other nations, than right here at Bowling Green, because of that powerful symbolic act that brought the American Revolution to its successful conclusion with George Washington coming here. Today, when we raise your African Union flag, of course, we're going to raise a circle of flags. It's going to be one of the few times where two flagpoles will be forming a circle of flags. And I hope, and I pray, as I always say this, that the African community and the African Union is still coming here 50 years, 100 years now to raise your flag. And what I suspect, what I think by then, 50 and certainly 100 years from now, the center, the most powerful part of this planet, it will not be China, it will not be India, it probably will not even be the United States. It will be the African nations who will be leading the way into the future. And that makes me even more proud to be here with you today. We're good? All right, it's now my pleasure. First of all, about the mayor. The mayor has been here over 30 times to raise flags. Think about that. We've been raising flags here since 1996. No mayor ever accepted an invitation even once. Not once. It was not until March of last year when I sent a message to City Hall and say, would Mayor Adams come down and raise the Irish flag in the day before St. Patrick's Day parade. And he came, and he's been coming ever since. He has come and come and come again because he appreciates as much as I do everything that I just said. On that note, let me introduce our Master of Ceremonies for today, Commissioner Edward Mermelstein, the Commissioner of International Affairs for the City of New York. Thank you.
While I'd love to do this job, there's a better man for us to do this. So Len, please.
What a setup. Commissioner, did you just say a better man? All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Do we have any Africans here? Good afternoon. Because we usually don't speak in low tones that way. All right. So I want to hear it now. Good afternoon. Beautiful. What a great day again, yet again. Another great historic day, an exciting day for us this May afternoon to celebrate the African Union at 60 years, to celebrate African unity and the work they have done in those years. Today, we also celebrate the work and progress the African diaspora has done in advocating for the needs of Africans wherever they are. Whenever we raise a flag here, we must acknowledge that we stand just a few minutes from the African burial ground in Lower Manhattan, which according to the National Park Service is the oldest and largest known excavated burial ground in North America for both free and enslaved Africans. Just recently, we lost two young African boys. We lost Alpha Barry. We lost his friend, Garrett Warren. They were found in the water. May we please observe a moment of silence in memory of those that are no longer with us. Okay. May their souls rest in peace. We pray that their families be comforted in this difficult time and that such event does not occur again. We're here today. We thank Mayor Adams and his administration for the work they are doing in New York City, taking care of the migrants too. I'm sure Commissioner Castro is going to be here soon. And that includes African migrants who are part of those that are coming through the border. As we gather for this celebration this afternoon, let us remind the AU to maintain the vision of cooperation and integration of African states to drive Africa's growth and economic development. Let us also encourage deeper cooperation between citizens of the African mainland and the African diaspora and between the diaspora organizations in order to gain grounds in addressing the needs of African people wherever they may be. As I stand here, I speak for the New York City African Council, a group that partners with the mayor, Mayor Adams and his administration to advance the needs of the African community in New York City. I also speak for the several African community organizations that work in different capacities to advocate the interests of the African diaspora and whose members are here today. Many of you worked hard to see that this event is a success today. We must continue to collaborate in order to achieve bigger and better things. Again, thanking the administration for the support they have given to the community. Commissioners Mermelstein and Castro, Deputy Commissioner Kamara for the work she does, Deputy Commissioner Lewis, also of the CAU. I'm sure he's around here somewhere. We thank you all for all the work you've done to see that this event here is held and is a success. Without wasting any further time, let me acknowledge the presence of some of our special guests here. We've got amongst us ambassadors, the prominent observer of the AU, Ambassador Fatima Mohammed. We also have consuls generals here of Peru. We've got Denmark, we've got Angola, we've got Liberia, we've got Cote d'Ivoire, we've got Ghana, we've got Burkina Faso, we've got Nigeria, we've got Morocco, who is a consul, we've got the CG, Senegal, we also have the consul Algeria, we have the consul Kenya. We also, behind me, is Commissioner Mermelstein of the Mayor's Office of International Affairs and Commissioner Castro, Office of Immigrant Affairs. So, like Arthur was saying before, the mayor has been on these grounds so many times. Let us put our hands together, because this is for the second time in its history, in history, that the flag is going to go up today. And these two times, they've all been put up by Mayor Adams. Please put your hands together for this administration. Now, with this said, I am going to call on Commissioner Edward Mermelstein to come and give his remarks. Commissioner Mermelstein?
Thank you again, Len. Distinguished ambassadors, esteemed members of the African Union, Your Excellencies and honored guests, and let's not forget the Consul Generals, very, very important to me. What a great honor it is to stand before you today as we come together to celebrate not only Africa in all its rich complexity, but also the enduring strength and vitality of the African diaspora in the heart of New York City. As we prepare for the symbolic act of raising the African Union flag high above us, we do so with deep pride and gratitude. New York City is not just a city. It is a global village, a melting pot of cultures, and the African community is one of its strongest pillars. From Harlem to the Bronx, from Brooklyn to Staten Island, let's not forget Queens either. Every corner of our city resonates with the rhythm, color, and vibrancy of Africa, with each individual, family, and community contributing immeasurably to the rich tapestry that is New York City. As we gather here today, we celebrate not just a geographic location or a city. We celebrate the spirit of unity and diversity. We celebrate the tenacity, courage, and resilience of Africans and their descendants whose experiences, stories, traditions, and innovations continue to enrich the cultural, social, and economic fabric of our city. So I'm going to hand it over back to Len. Yes. Thank you all so much.
Please put your hands together for Commissioner Mermelstein. So the mayor is going to be here in a few moments, but before that, I'm going to call on Mr. El Hadjindal, the CG of Senegal, for his remarks.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Good afternoon as we welcome the great mayor of New York City, the Honorable Eric L. Adams. Honorable Mayor Eric Adams, Mayor of the great city of New York, Excellency Ambassador Fatima Mohammed, Permanent Observer of the African Union to the United Nations, Excellencies, the Ambassadors, distinguished colleagues, Consuls General, dear members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, distinguished guests and friends of Africa, Mr. Arthur Piccolo, thank you very much for having us. ladies and gentlemen. Dear Mayor Eric Adams, on behalf of the African Consuls General Group, I would like to thank you for being here with us today on this momentous occasion as we celebrate a very special day for Africa. We are indeed grateful for your guidance and the assistance of your team and your office leading up to today. I would like to also extend my heartiest thanks to our colleagues from other regions who have graciously accepted our invitation. It is indeed an honor for me in this beautiful New York City afternoon in the great Bowling Green Park to express the pride of the African Consuls General as we launch our activities related to Africa Day, which commemorates, as we know, the birth of the former Organization of African Unity, which is now the African Union. I'm even prouder as today's event coincides with the mandate of Senegal as chair of the African Consuls General Group after a successful tenure by the Republic of South Africa. This year's anniversary is heralded under the theme Acceleration of the Implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, which would be the largest of its kind when it comes to fruition at the 2063 horizon. AFCFTA is a tool to put in place by the African Union, to serve as an adequate and pertinent answer to the challenges faced by our continent. As such, it is a call for action. It recalls the duty upon us to mobilize all the positive energies and powers within us to enhance in a considerable way the living conditions of African populations. Therefore, it behooves us to put forth mechanisms that are able to promote intra-African trade, yield strong growth trends, and thus position us better in the international economic paradigm. This would certainly make it easier for entrepreneurs and businessmen as they would take profit in the cost-cutting opportunities yielded by AFCFTA and consequently improve their productivity. Ladies and gentlemen, this free trade zone does not exclude whatsoever the possibilities of foreign direct investments. This is why the African Consuls General Group seizes the extended hand of our great Mayor Eric Adams, who misses no occasion to express his affection for Africa. Please give a hand for that. The African community, grateful for this great consideration, through my voice, reiterates its appreciation and stays tuned for any partnership your office, Mr. Mayor, could facilitate and that would be mutually beneficial to your constituency and to the continent we all share. As chair of the African Consuls General Group, I would like to renew my friendship again to you and to your team on behalf of my peers here present as we look forward for more avenues to collaborate for the great benefit of our diaspora hosted by New York City under your great leadership. I would like to also thank our good friend, Mr. Arthur Piccolo, and the Bowling Green Association, and express again my gratitude to you all for your very kind attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador C.G. Ndao. So a few moments ago, I told us that the mayor was on his way. He's finally arrived, but we're going to get to him in a few moments. Right now, I'm going to call on Ambassador Fatima Kiari Mohammed, who is the permanent observer of the AU to the UN, to please come and give her remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Honorable Mayor of the City of New York, Chairman of the Bowling Green Association, Chair of the African Council's General Group in New York, and other ambassadors and consul generals here present, commissioners and other representatives of the City Council, members of the African diaspora, and our great MC, brothers and sisters, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, peace be upon you all. Permit me to start by thanking the African Council's General Group for extending an invitation to the African Union Mission to this flag-raising ceremony. As you're aware, yesterday we celebrated Africa Day and also commemorated the 60th anniversary of the organization of the African Union. And throughout the month of May, we have marked the 60th anniversary with a number of events around the world. In Addis Ababa, as well as at the United Nations, where my office, in collaboration with the Office of the Special Advisor on Africa, organized a month-long series of events under the African Dialogue Series, including a high-level policy dialogue on the African Union theme of the year, with participation from the Secretary General, as well as the chairperson of the African Union Commission. In his commemoration message yesterday, the chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed, reminded us that the 60th anniversary celebration intersects with other milestones, such as the 20th anniversary of the African Union, which succeeded the Organization of African Unity, the launch of the second decade of implementation of Agenda 2063, our development goals, and the midterm journey of the AU Commission. He also mentioned that the celebration also plunges us back into the spirit of the founding fathers of the OAU and made an appeal to all of us, Africans of the continent and of the diaspora, to continue to amplify their voices and commitment so that the strength of our unity, long-awaited and expected solidarity operate as indispensable levers of our power and emancipation. Today is just as important as we gather here in Bowling Green at the heart of New York City to witness yet another historic moment, the raising of the flag of the African Union alongside that of the United States in our host city, New York, for the second time. We come together in the spirit of unity and celebration. This symbolic act carries significance, symbolizing our friendship, collective strength, and the shared aspirations we hold, not only for our beloved continent, but for the world. It serves as a beacon of hope and inspiration. We must take advantage of the collective strength, shared values, and common goals in our commitment to foster peace, cooperation, and development throughout our continent with our diaspora and the broader global community. And here, I'd like to take a pause and to sincerely and personally thank and recognize you, Mr. Mayor, for the commitment that you have shown in amplifying the importance of strengthening this friendship and collaboration. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the African Union flag proudly displays the colors of our diverse nations. The vibrant green represents the richness of our land, the vast resources that sustain us, and the beauty of our natural landscapes. It reminds us of the importance of sustainable development, responsible stewardship of our environment, and the need to harness our resources for the benefit of all Africans. It is a reminder for all of us to strive to protect and preserve our natural heritage for future generations while promoting African hopes and aspirations. The golden yellow embodies the wealth of Africa, not only in terms of its natural resources, but also in the talent, creativity, and ingenuity of our people. It represents the enormous potential that exists within Africa, waiting to be unleashed through education, innovation, and inclusive growth. It is a reminder that we are the architects of our own destiny. It is our duty, therefore, to nurture and harness this potential, creating opportunities for our people to thrive and to contribute to the advancement of our societies. An Africa without borders signifies African unity, and African unity goes beyond its borders. Today, as we raise the flag of the African Union in the city of New York, we send a powerful message to the world. We declare our readiness to contribute to the global community, to collaborate with other nations in the spirit of multilateralism, and to address the common challenges that affect all of us. We stand united, representing us in New York City, inspire us to strive for a better future, not only for Africa, but for the entire world. Together, let us raise our voices, raise our hopes, and raise Africa's profile on the global stage. Long live the city of New York, long live the United States of America, and long live the African Union. Thank you.
What a powerful message from Ambassador Mohammed. Please give her another round of applause. So I'm now going to call on Commissioner Ed Mermelstein, Commissioner for International Affairs, to please come and present the mayor to us.
I have the greatest honor to introduce a man who stands as a steadfast leader and a true embodiment of New York's resilient spirit. Please join me in welcoming the 110th Mayor of New York City, the city that never sleeps and always dreams big, Mayor Eric Adams.
I want to thank the Commissioner, and I want to thank Her Excellency Ambassador Mohammed for those powerful words and the clear thoughts of collaboration and the unification of not only the African Union, but the unifications of Africans throughout the entire diaspora. 60 years ago, the decision was made to come together to fight against apartheid, and African nations united to deal with the atrocities and the nefarious acts that were perpetrated on the South African people. And now that we evolve 60 years later, it is imperative that we continue our pursuit to bring Africa to its rightful place of innovation, of collaboration, and of self-determination, which is at the heart. And we can do that when I look over and see the Council Generals from the various African nations and our allies who are Council Generals and representatives from other countries. Together we can fortify our relationships using not only the United Nations, but using a country that clearly has a mayor of African ancestry. We believe that this is an important moment for us all, and we want to seize on this moment and this opportunity. The raising of the flag, the second year that we have carried out this action here at Bowling Green, where so many other nations have also were allowed to raise their flags for the first time from my time becoming mayor. This is a city of diversity and a nation of diversity. That is our strength, and it is a country where you are allowed to hold on to the love of your homeland while you embrace your adopted land. That is the combination that makes us great. Bring your culture, bring your thoughts, bring your activism to make sure this country is what we know it could be, a home, as we say, with the lady that sits in the harbor, land of the free, home of the brave, and home for all who want to participate in the American dream. I look forward to the next few years that we continue to strengthen our relationship with the African people on the continent and here in America. I look forward to returning after Africa. I've been in Africa 6 times. I look forward in the next year to move through. I believe I'm the only mayor in the history of this city that probably visit the continent of Africa. And I look forward to taking a tour of several African countries next year to continue to build and strengthen the relationship. In the words of Marcus Garvey, up you mighty people, you can be what you will. Thank you very much.
So at this point, Commissioner Marvelstein, I think the mayor has a presentation. It's the ambassador. The ambassador Fatima Mohammed, please step up. Mayor Adams. So, ambassador, please speak to your gift.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is just a symbolic gift on behalf of the African Union to thank you for your commitment as a son of Africa, and we look forward to strengthening this partnership. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hold on, please. So before we put the flag up, so there's something that came up, Mayor Adams. There was a trip to Africa in which Queen Mother was a part of that. There's something she brought that she wants to present to you. Queen Mother, please come up. Mayor Adams, please step up.
It is an honor. Come here. It is an honor to be here on Wall Street, where our ancestors were sold from the continent, Mother Africa. And as an elder, I'm over 80 plus years old. But Queen Mother has been at the United Nations for over 54 years as a humanitarian. To have a son that God has placed as the head of the city of New York is not by an accident. It's by divine order that he is placed at this time in the spirit of our ancestors. I am still coming from and traveling north, south, east, west of Africa, and hearing the rhythm beat and the sound of our ancestors and the voices of our youth. Our children are saying they will shape the Africa they want. And hearing those voices, just coming back from Morocco 3 days ago, so I'm in a jet lag. But I say to our son, as I traveled during the pandemic and beyond the pandemic, and just also returning from the region, which I ask for your prayers and reflection for the women of Sudan. This is a gift done by the women, and they ask for our prayers, which I have delivered the message to the Secretary General of the United Nations. Children don't start wars, nor mothers. Mothers cry during wars. This is the gift that they gave to Queen Mother. But this gift need to be given to my son as a gift from the women and the youth of Sudan. I also want to give him another gift, as Queen Mother has many gifts that she received from the continent of Mother Africa, as I'm given many names as well. But I want him to know, on Wall Street, over 25 years, it's close to 30 years now, that the African descendants has been working to return home, which this son has already begun to do so. But I mean in a place called home for many of our youth, 55 million that are lost in the wilderness, I would say. I want him to be made aware of a group on Wall Street where our ancestors, as I said before, was stolen and robbed of the continent of Mother Africa. And in the belly of Mother Africa, I leave with this son so he knows that he's not alone in his quest for returning home and making Africa whole again. There is the oldest kingdom between Sudan and Egypt, which I've gone to both. It's called the Kingdom of Cloche, no man's land. The children in the United States have declared it, and I give him what the work that they are doing to bring us all home. There is only one Africa, only one. The children of the diaspora, the children of the descendants, and the children of just being on the continent itself. You must come together with the skills and abilities that you have and negotiate Mother Africa. No longer she'll be robbed and stolen and kidnapped. In her belly lies the natural resources that the world is looking for. Learn, children, how to negotiate and share with others. It will never be depleted because God has said so. And so in saying that, let's just give our prayers and blessing and consciousness of this son and returning all us in the unification from New York City, multi-ethnic and multicultural, to the shores of Mother Africa, to the shores of Mother Africa. Gift to you, our son.
Give it up for Queen Mother. All right, so yeah, we're going to raise the flags now, starting with the U.S. Flag, U.S. national anthem, and the flag has to go up. Now let us make our way to the next pole for the AU flag. Ambassador Fatima and the CGs. And we have the AU anthem.
Let us all unite and celebrate together the victories won for our liberation. Let us dedicate ourselves to rise together to defend our liberty and unity. All sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky. Let us make Africa a tree of life. Let us all unite and sing together to uphold the bonds that frame our destiny. Let us dedicate ourselves to fight together for lasting peace and justice on earth. All sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky. Let us make Africa the tree of life. Let us all unite and join together to give the best we have to Africa. The cradle of mankind, the fount of culture, our pride and hope at break of dawn. All sons and daughters of Africa, flesh of the sun and flesh of the sky. Let us make Africa the tree of life.
Wow.
Let us all unite and celebrate together the victories won for our liberation. Let us dedicate ourselves to rise together to defend our liberty and unity.